Hey guys, I'm making a video to show you how to make an in-ground removable soccer goal that is super easy to mow around and will last a long time. My wife cuts the grass each week and told me how much of a pain it is for her to move the soccer goal around, especially as they get old and rusty and start falling apart. I had this idea to make one that would be easier for her to manage for mowing and would last a lot longer than the cheap goals that are sold at the sporting goods stores. This goal is so easy to mow with, you don't have to move anything but the net, which just gets unstaked and hung up on its frame. This really opens up the area around the goal to allow for a riding or push mower to get right up to the post. I also made this goal out of robust materials that will last for a very long time, and I'm sure my goal will last much longer than any soccer goal I have ever purchased. It is supported by two vertical poles that slide into the ground and can easily be removed for wintertime or to make the goal disappear for whatever reason. The vertical and horizontal pieces are electrical conduit that is easily purchased from hardware stores in the USA. The fittings I use to connect them together are manufactured by SteelTech and can be purchased from Lowe's. These fittings are not intended to be used on electrical conduit. They are meant for pipe which has a larger outer diameter and thicker wall. I'm using them with electrical conduit to save a couple $100 in cost, and because the soccer goal is not intended to be a structure that can support external weight. For its intended use in my backyard, it only needs to support its own weight, the net, and the force of a soccer ball hitting the poles and net. So this is how I built it. I started with two 10-foot pieces of 1¼ inch electrical conduit. And on one end of them, I built a triangular structure to give the top of the net support on the left and right side of the goal, and 2 feet of depth into the goal. To do this, I cut two pieces of pipe the same length that, combined with the fitting that goes on either end of that piece, totaled a length of 2 feet. I chose this dimension because I found a soccer net that had 2 feet of depth at the top of the net, so I'm building it to fit the net I will buy for it. At the top front of the goal, I put a SteelTech side-out elbow, and I used two 45-degree angle SteelTech fittings to make the triangle. Once you make two of these, they become the left side of the goal, and most of the structure is made by the time you make these two pieces. Next, I made a bar on the top of the goal that connects the two sides together. I wanted to make a 12-foot wide goal to stick with the standard size goal and net used for certain age ranges. I tried to find a 12-foot long piece of 1¼ inch electrical conduit, but I wasn't able to find any locally. To get the 12-foot length, I added a coupler that is used for electrical conduit on each end of the 10-foot pipe, and then cut pieces of pipe that made the entire length of the inside of the goal 12 feet. At this point, the goal is made, and we just need to cut the height of the 10-foot conduit pieces a little shorter so we get the desired height of the goal. I chose a net that is for a soccer goal 6 feet tall, and I want 2 feet of the vertical poles to go inside of the ground for support. So I cut 2 feet off, shortening the 10-foot pipe to 8 feet in length. Then once it is in the ground, the goal height will be 6 feet tall. At this point, the goal is done, and we need to work on the below ground support system. For the in-ground section, I cut two equal length sections of 1½ inch electrical conduit, roughly 30 inches long. This conduit is slightly larger in diameter than the 1¼ inch conduit, which allows the 1¼ inch conduit to easily slide inside of the 1½ inch. These two portions of conduit will be concreted into the ground. I used a post hole digger to dig down 30 inches below the surface of the grass. I laid the soccer goal down on the ground in the location I wanted it to show me where I needed to dig these two holes, but they're going to be roughly 12 feet apart. I cut two equal length pieces of wood roughly 36 inches long and placed one of them in each of the holes to help me check the two holes were equal depth. I then placed my 30-inch pieces of 1½ inch conduit well centered into the hole and aligned with the width of the legs of the soccer goal I had laying on the ground, and started filling in the space around the conduit with fence post cement. I stopped filling the hole with cement about 6 inches underneath the surface of the grass so I could fill that area with dirt, so grass could grow back right up to the soccer post. I also made sure the top of the conduit was not poking above the grass roots so that it wouldn't be felled if stepped on by bare feet. Once the cement had set up, I put some pea gravel on the inside of each conduit to give the soccer goals something solid to rest on and allow for some water drainage inside the conduit. Just keep putting gravel until the desired soccer goal height is achieved and it is level. At this point, the soccer goal is done and just needs a net installed. For mowing, I simply remove the stakes holding down the net and hang each corner of the net on the goalpost above it, keeping the net off the ground to allow for easy mowing around the goalpost. No more moving goals around to mow.